Hi everybody. So, I'm doing my predictions very late this week for week 4, but it's better to do them at like 3 a.m. the morning the game start than not do them at all. I didn't get around to doing the games or the game Thursday night or the 3 games last night. But it's what it is. So let's get right to it. Alabama hosting Kent State. That's more of an interesting game than most of the cupcake matches Alabama has on their schedule because of the history with Nick Saban and Kent State. It'll be pretty emotional, but I think this game is not going to be close at all at any point. Don't know if Alabama covers. Nick Saban probably won't out of respect for Kent State. But probably like a 40-ish point win. Look forward to see how Jalen Hurts progresses more in this game, and if Saban's going to put Barnett out or not. Cooper Bateman, I guess he's just kind of been sidelined permanently or whatever. I don't know. If one of the main two guys has an injury, he'll definitely come in at some point, though. Yep, so then at 11, also we have number 12, Georgia, going to number 23, Ole Miss. What to think about this game? Ole Miss is actually a 7-point favorite, which I think is reasonable because Georgia, they have flat out not impressed me all year. They should have lost to Nicholls State. Should have lost to Missouri. The refs kind of did give them the North Carolina win. So they could actually easily be sitting here at 0-3 instead of 3-0 right now. Kirby Smart's a good coach. He's going to turn this thing around. But, we all thought Jacob Eason was a star. But it's taken him a while to kind of get developed. If one of those guys gets injured for starting QB's Georgia, it's not going to be too good. Florida, you've seen what they're just down to pretty much Austin Appleby, which he's a good quarterback, but we'll see how that game goes when I predict that. I think Ole Miss will get the victory here. It's, it's an 11 a.m. game. Might be overlooked by some. I don't really see any team from the East going undefeated past maybe this next weekend, I'd say. I'd have to look at the schedules of some like Florida or Tennessee more, but I just don't think the East is any good, to be honest. Yeah, they do have 3 undefeated teams, but they just haven't played anybody, and they've looked very underwhelming in the teams they have played. So Ole Miss is not going to let another huge comeback from Georgia take place, even though they're very capable of it. Chad Kelly's a good enough quarterback if he just settles down a little bit, doesn't throw a few picks, doesn't make a few mistakes later in the third quarter or fourth. I think Ole Miss will be just fine. I think Ole Miss wins by more than 10, actually. So, and yeah, of course, for Georgia, the running game, as Uncle Lou and others have stated, the running game has got to get started. The passing looked alright against Missouri, but Nick Chubb, he's got to have another breakout day, I think, for Georgia to have a chance. Purdue, Nevada, who cares? Iowa State at 0-3. What a joke. This is actually kind of an interesting one. Iowa is going to Rutgers. Rutgers is actually 2-1, which they're not as good as their record would indicate. But I think they are better than a lot of people expected. And I think Iowa is worse than a lot of people expect, as evidenced by the North Dakota State win. Again, the Big Ten West last year was not very good. Iowa just ran right through that. But this year, you got a decent Wisconsin team. You've got what looks like a good Nebraska team. So I don't think Iowa, North Dakota State, don't get me wrong, I think they could pass for maybe top 25, maybe, in the AP poll. Of course, they don't play any more competition for like 4 years, which is a joke. They need to just man up and join the FBS. But anyway, so that's a potential upset alert game. But I'm going to say Iowa pulls that out, but doesn't cover. Here's an interesting one. Florida State goes to South Florida. I mean, it's pretty much a home game for Florida State. South Florida is 3-0 and should be ranked. AP poll is a joke. Why are Oklahoma and especially Ole Miss still ranked in the top 25 with horrendous 1-2 records? I'm sure they would have ranked USC in that, and if they could, but they didn't want to lose too much face. Ole Miss has not looked good in any of the games they've played. They looked good for the first halves in each of them, but even against Wofford, they looked pathetic. So that shows that Florida State might not really be that good. And they got exposed by Louisville. And as I've said in comments and stuff, Florida State should have lost that game 77-10. I think that was a mistake, Louisville letting off the gas late. South Florida is a very good team, but it's going to be upset alert. FSU is only a 5-point favorite. But as long as we see steady QB play from DeAndre Francois, which we've seen so far, Dalvin Cook gets going, as long as we see Florida State, I think Jimbo Fisher's going to have them fired up. They feel like they were disrespected and all this crap, so I think this will be a rebound week, and so I think they get a pretty big win over South Florida, maybe even 20-point win. Minnesota, I forgot they were still undefeated, but I don't know how they'll do against Colorado State. Big Ten, we got number 11 Wisconsin. Again, that's a joke that they're number 11. They beat an average to below average LSU team and almost lost to Georgia State. That's fucking pathetic. I'm not sure we're really sure how good Michigan State is either. They beat let's just say bad for Notre Dame standards, a bad Notre Dame team. So why are they ranked number 8? I don't get that. They've only played 2 games too, and they didn't look good against Furman. This is in East Lansing, and this is pretty much a toss-up game. Having trouble keeping up with who QB is that Wisconsin is nowadays. Of course, who gives a shit, but yeah. O'Connor, I think that's the guy's name at Michigan State. He's looked like a pretty good QB. Defense looked pretty bad in the second half against Notre Dame. And they pretty much just said we've won this game and then just sat back and almost lost. So, I don't know. I mean, they get out to maybe a few early leads, but then they have trouble finishing games, I think. And against a team that has the potential to be good, like Wisconsin, I don't think that's going to do very well. But Michigan State may feel like they have a chip on their shoulder and all that good shit. But I think Wisconsin... take that back. I'm going to predict Michigan State. I heard a lot of the experts saying Wisconsin going to win this game. But something tells me Michigan State will. Paul Chryst is a good coach, but he doesn't seem to be too much of a likable guy. Mark D'Antonio doesn't either. But yeah, so I'm going to say Michigan State wins, but Wisconsin makes it a game late. We'll see if East Carolina has their losing streak against the ACC finally broken. I'll come back with my next video to finish up the predictions for Week 4.